Welcome back to Sailing El Jaleo! This week we pick up where we left off last week, dealing with crappy weather, and we start playing hopscotch to avoid weather. There's a lot of high wind and rain that we had to deal with during this stretch. So we spent a couple of days at Carolina Beach where I start to figure out some anchoring issues that correlate with geography. And then we head up to Topsail Sound where we wait out some 40 to 50 knot winds. I guess we might as well go ahead and get right into it. So grab a drink, climb aboard, and let's get going. Hey y'all, we are in Carolina Beach Harbor, and we are anchored here in one of the anchorages. There's an anchorage right over there, but it's only about 6 feet deep. This one here is 12 feet deep, although I am getting pretty close to a shoal right behind me. I'm kind of in a pickle here. I don't know what to do. Tomorrow's going to be calm, but Sunday the wind is going to be outrageous. It's going to be 40 knots, and last night the wind kicked up, I would guess maybe 20 knots, and this boat right over here drug and smashed into another sailboat. So I don't feel very comfortable about staying here, although the wind is supposed to be coming from this direction during the high wind, so I'd get a little bit of protection from those houses over there. Tomorrow is Saturday. It's going to be calm. So I think I can make it 30 miles up the beach to Topsail Sound. I've never stayed there before, but on Navionics you can leave reviews for anchorages. And there's one guy, Gene from Galeen. I've agreed with almost all of his reviews of anchorages so far. So, and he gave it 5 stars. And I looked it up online. I looked at some photos, and there's a line of houses along the sound just like this, and it is going to be coming from that same direction, so I think I'll get the same wind break there. Plus I'll get 30 miles further up the road, and I won't have to worry about someone banging into me. So yeah, I think that's the plan for now. We're going to take off tomorrow. We're going to bypass, oh, what is it? I'm having a brain fart. 10 miles up the road, there's a place that we were going to go to that we stopped at before, but it started raining yesterday, so we had to pull in here. And we had a lot of rain this morning, but it started to clear. Oh, you tell them, fish. You tell them. Ooh, yeah. But it started to clear up. I mean, it's clear here now. It's raining all morning. So I think we're going to take off tomorrow and head up to Topsail Sound. Smart thing to do would probably be to go right over here and pay $30 for a mooring and just stay on Sunday during the high wind on a mooring and not worry about it. But you know, I'm stupid. I don't want to spend 30 bucks when that could get me 2 more cases of beer, so I'm dumb that way. I think we'll be fine. We've been through high wind before at anchor, and that's why we like our BFA, so we don't have to worry about it. And the anchorage that we're in, Topsail Sound, is only 8 feet deep. So if I put out, you know, 80 or 90 or 100 feet of chain, we'll be really good on scope. I think we'll be fine. So, yep, that's the plan as of right now. Yeah, hope y'all are well. I'll let you know how the storm works out. Or the windstorm, whatever it is. Alrighty. Hey y'all. We are in Carolina Beach still, and this boat in front of us is anchored, and it looks like they are slowly slipping backwards, which does not bode well for us. So it's going to be another night of no sleep, I have a feeling. We had a little break in the wind, so I decided to fly the drone and take a look around Carolina Beach. I do have to apologize for the wind in those first two clips. I know it's really annoying. I do want to get an external mic with a little wind fuzzy. That's the first thing on my list for when I get back to Delaware. So hopefully going forward after Delaware, the wind noise won't be nearly as bad. So I apologize for that. It kind of sucks. But I kind of want to go over some stuff. I am a scientist at heart and an engineer by training, and I like to figure stuff out on my own. You know, I've had a lot of people help me with the boat and boating, Frank specifically, and then a lot of other people have helped as well. But there are certain things that I like to figure out. I think it's fun to tabulate or collect data in your head and just try and work stuff out, like the tides and currents and going between inlets. You know, it took me a while to work that out, and I've got that down pretty well now. I just like to figure that stuff out on my own. Now, I'm sure I could have read a book on it, and you know, in a couple of hours I would have understood it all, but for me it's a lot more fun to try and figure it out on your own. And I had never really put much thought into anchoring before. Anchoring is pretty straightforward. You know, you make sure you have the right scope, you set your anchor, and you know, you're good to go. The bottom composition will have something to do with that, but you know, I've anchored hundreds and hundreds of times now, and only twice has it ever been an issue, and in Carolina Beach was one of those times when it was an issue. So I started thinking and taking a look around at the geography, and it suddenly dawned on me. There are the two times that I had problems anchoring were in what I call basins. Carolina Harbor is, I don't know if that's a correct technical term, that's what I call it in my mind. It's a basin. There's only one way in and out. So there's no current that runs through it. When the tide comes in, water will surge into it and then surge out of it. But there's no current that runs through the harbor itself. So the only other time I had an issue with that was there's another basin, and it was the same type of a situation just outside of Camp Lejeune where I anchored, and I didn't drag there, but I actually had a problem getting the anchor to set. And when I pulled the anchor up, it was full of this really loose, foul smelling, let's call it soil or sediment. And it was a pain in the butt to clean off the deck. You know, I tried to get most of it off the chain when I was pulling it up, but some got on the deck, and you know, the dogs like to lay up at the very front of the boat, so I wanted to get that cleaned up. And that's the only other time I had had a real problem. And here I actually drug about 20 feet. Other boats were dragging, you know, hundreds of feet and banging into each other. Here I drug a little bit, the anchor re-caught, and then I was fine for the 2 or 3 days that I was there. But it was a constant problem, and I was curious when it came time to pull up the anchor if I would see that same type of a sludge that I saw when I anchored in the other basin and had a problem setting the anchor. And sure enough, when I went to leave to head up to Topsail Sound, I pulled up the anchor, exact same situation. So in these basins, I think there's stuff accumulating in there. Lots of sailboats anchor in both of them. Let's just say it's a nutrient-rich sediment, and let's just leave it at that. I wouldn't go swimming in it. Yeah, so, and I'm glad I made that connection, because now going forward, when I anchor in basins or areas where there might not be a current going through it, where it just might be a surge situation during tiding, then I know that I have to be extra careful setting the anchor and really making sure it digs in. So yeah, I just chalked it up in the mental Rolodex as one more thing that I've figured out. So yay! Sorry for wasting your time with that explanation, but I love figuring stuff out, and I feel like I figured something out here. As we were leaving Carolina Beach, you can see me washing all of that black ooze out of the chain and off the deck so the dogs didn't lay in it, and it smelled wonderful. We had a one-day weather window to get up to Topsail Sound, prior to the high wind coming in, and we'd stopped along the way at Wrightville Beach where we topped off our fuel tanks and we got rid of some trash. By this point in time, thankfully, diesel prices on the water had started to come down in some places. Wrightsville Beach was not one of those places. The entire way, the best that I saw, I only filled up a few places. One was in St. Augustine, again in Savannah. Then I filled up in Waccamaw River. I topped off in Wrightsville Beach. I filled up in Great Bridge. So in all of those places, Waccamaw River had the absolute best price, $3.22 a gallon. The Great Bridge had the second best at Atlantic Yacht Basin, very fair price, $3.50 a gallon, no problem there. Everywhere else, it's almost felt like they were gouging you still. Most places were still around $5 a gallon. By this time, diesel prices at gas stations had been down for months and months and months. It just felt a little excessive in some places. After making it through the Wrightsville Beach Bridge, we ran up to the Figure 8 Island Bridge where we had to wait about 20 minutes for the next scheduled opening. After that, we were home free all the way up to Topsail Sound. We made her into Topsail Sound no problem, and the next day, things got nasty. Hey y'all, I don't know how well this is going to come out, but right now we are going through the worst weather we have ever gone through at anchor. We've got wind gusts of up to 60 miles an hour outside. I'm monitoring our position over here, and I've got an anchor alarm on too, but so far it looks like we're holding steady. But the puppers are all up here. This is where we hunker down when weather gets bad. There's room for all three of the puppy dogs and the PDQs up here, so that's good. I got the keys ready to go right here. There's the thunder and lightning. I got keys ready to go. I got my life jacket right over there, and I've already got my jacket on just in case I have to get upstairs quick. So this should only last about a half an hour, and then the wind should start dying back down slowly. It'll still be strong, but at least it's not we won't be bouncing around like we are now. So alrighty, it's always an adventure. Hey y'all, we are still in Topsail Beach Sound, and we ducked in here to wait out some wind. The last few days have been windy. It's still reasonably windy right now. I mean light, I wouldn't call it heavy, but compared to the last few days, it's pretty light right now. We've got a little bit of a break, and the wind's gonna pick up again in a few hours. We're kind of chomping at the bit to get out of here, just because this place is pretty shallow. Where we are now is perfectly fine, but the entrance down here, getting in was kind of tricky, and I'm a little bit nervous about getting out. But we'll figure it out. The big problem right now, the Intracoastal Waterway is just right over here, but down about 10 miles is the Onslaw Beach Swing Bridge, and that is shut down because of the high wind. And there is an anchorage right before the bridge that we could go down to, but I'm worried if we leave here by the time, or not by the time, it only only take a few hours, but because the bridge has been closed for a day and a half now, I'm guessing that anchorage down by the bridge might be full of people waiting to get through. So I don't want to leave here, go through the tricky inlet or outlet, and make it all the way down there and then not have a place to anchor. So we're going to wait here for one more day. Sunrise tomorrow morning will be exactly at high tide, so that'll be a good time to try and get out. We'll probably try and leave about a half an hour before high tide, so it's still rising a bit, and get to the inlet at first light. So we'll see. I haven't gotten much sleep the last few days, watching the wind and stuff, but we haven't moved at all, which is good. And I did bang my ankle, so I don't know, probably you can't probably tell, but my ankle was about the size of a softball, but it started to go down. So I think I'm just gonna chill today. The wind's only gonna be at its peak maybe 20 knots, so that's not so bad compared to what we've seen the last few days. And no rain today, so it should be a pretty pleasant day. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go downstairs and brush my teeth and have a Bloody Mary. And maybe take a nap. All right. I hope y'all are well. It is cold out here. Geez, it's like 50 degrees. It is freezing. You can probably hear I've got the heater running, which is nice. Get a little dry heat downstairs, but man, it is frigid out here. But the puppy dogs are loving it. The PDQs are doing okay. What do you think, fish? Yeah, they're loving the weather. Alrighty, hope y'all are well. And that's all we have time for this week. I would like to give a massive shout out to my Patreon crew. Without your guys' support, I would not make these videos. And my Patreon crew is Joan and Juddy Judnick, Val and Chris Alcorn, Denise and Eli Sackett, Joan and Jim Limbo, Sherry Erickson, Deb Shaw, and Matthew Spotten. Thank you guys so very much. Your support means the world to me. If you are interested in joining our Patreon page, there is a link in the description down below, and that'll take you to Patreon where you can sign up. And there you'll have access to hundreds of additional photos and videos behind the scenes. I try and update that 2 or 3 times a week with either photo updates or video updates, let you know where I'm actually at and what's going on currently. And you would also help support the channel, which would be awesome. If you do like our videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. That doesn't cost you guys anything, but it helps us out immensely. So, alrighty, I hope you all are well, and we'll see you next week. Never, oh never again, if I live to 100 or 110. The ground and I couldn't get up after drinking just one cup of Johnny Jumbo. Oh never again, if I live to 100 or 110. I fell to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking a pint of the Johnny Jumbo.